Hello, my name is Rowan Thamba. I am the digital content specialist at Tortoise Hare CX Agency. And while we've been known as Tortoise Hare for the last 2 years, getting to where we are today has involved decades of client and agency side experience, investment, and 10 years of focused momentum. We're excited to spend the next month celebrating both how far we've come as an agency, while also looking forward to where we and our industry is headed. It's an awesome opportunity to reflect on our journey, our expertise, sharing what we've learned with CX professionals and business leaders like you. Today, I'm joined by Angela Cobb, one of our fearless directors at Tortoise Hare. It's such an exciting time for us here at Tortoise Hare. We're about to celebrate 10 years as a business, 2 years as Tortoise Hare CX Agency, and 8 years as AMI Customer Engagement Agency. You, Oliver, and Nick are the powerhouses behind a lot of the momentum we've seen in the last 10 years. But this business is a product of your initial vision and direction. Why'd you start the agency in the first place?
Oh gosh, bro, where to begin? I think the real kind of deep down rationale and reason for starting our agency kind of stemmed from, the experience that myself has had, but, you also speak to Oliver as well, and he and I are essentially the same person. We've had a very similar career in our history. But what we've often found is, we've worked agency side, we've worked in some of the bigger agencies in Sydney. We've also worked big corporate side as well. So in our experience, we had really understood what the value of that client agency relationship was. And what's really important to us was that we often found that the agency really struggled to really understand what a business needed. They'd be so caught up in big blue sky ideas, but they weren't really practical or implementable in anything that they would really share with us. So where we kind of got to was really building this model that kind of reimagined, that reimagined that kind of client and agency model. And for us, it's, yes, we're an agency, but we really see ourselves as a partner to a client. We're really an extension of their team. So totally. That's absolutely core to everything that we do.
It's such a powerful vision of what an agency could and should be. And it's one that I've watched us live into every day. What have been some of those key moments that you've had both as an agency owner, but also from a CX and loyalty expert perspective that you're most proud of? We talk about the moments that matter in the customer journey. What are some of the moments that have mattered to you?
The moments that have mattered to me? Yeah. Okay. How funny. I mean, I feel like I've always had a bit of an entrepreneur flair in myself in everything that I've ever done, in my career. One of the pivotal moments or moments that mattered for me was probably being really caught in and working on the launch of the Qantas Wine Club. Now, that was years ago, but I think what was really, how that really fulfilled a satisfaction for me was the fact that it really gave me that thirst of running a business, but in the nicest possible way with a budget. So it's like playing with house money,
Yes.
which sounds, silly, but it gave me that real confidence to take that leap myself and really, really use that as a springboard, because I kind of felt like I really knew end to end the detail and what was required to kind of run a business. So that was a really great springboard. And then I think another thing is really, we talk about community and network. I think another part of that has really been people believing in me. And what I mean by that is them having that confidence in me being able to build and run a business. I had an old colleague of mine retrospectively say to me the other day, you should be so proud of yourself, and you used to talk about this, 20 years ago, and, you should be proud of building what you've always wanted. And it wasn't until I took a minute there and we're walking along the beach and I thought, actually, you're so right. I've not really stopped and thought about that. I think another thing, Oliver's a great example. He was in the big city, and then, he actually took the plunge and moved to Newcastle, and that was a really exciting time for us. But, he too, drank the Kool-Aid and has absolutely been on the journey with us all and has been a pivotal driving force for that. So that confidence and passion that he brings is huge as well. What has been probably one of the most satisfying moments for me was when one of our team members actually turned around and said, you know what, I always thought I had to move back to Sydney to get my next big career step. And I feel so lucky that I can actually be here where I am and get that experience. So that was a really rewarding thing to hear, because that is what we're trying to create.
One of the things that I've admired over working at Tortoise Hare for the last 3 years, particularly about you, Ange, and your leadership style, is how you kind of blend this like real deep empathy for people, not just like the people that we work with, but like our team, but then also like this incredibly pragmatic, strategic approach to problem solving. And I think it's something that's been infused in everyone that works in our agency. And I'm curious to ask this on a personal level, like, were there any key moments like in your career that I guess shaped how you kind of developed these two incredible values?
Gosh, bro, that's a good question. Very flattering. Thank you. Well, when I think about pragmatism, like I kind of alluded to that a little bit earlier about, client-side experience really made me realize that it wasn't all about the agency show. And what I mean by that is when you're sitting in the client side, you go, as an agency, you think that 90% of their time is actually about you, when really it's about 2%.
Yeah.
So I also think that client-side experience, made me realize you actually need to be very pragmatic, right, in order to get anything done, right, in those big corporates. You can't present to boards and you can't present to senior executives with fluff. Like it's got to be pragmatic and practical to get anything through the door.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably also stemmed from my foundational experience as a direct marketer. And, again, that comes through across the board with our team, because it's ingrained in our culture and our values, right? Pragmatism and practicality is how we survive. It's what we do and it's how we operate.
Totally.
Then when you talk about empathy, I really thrive on relationships. So, I can talk all day, but at the same time, I can end a conversation if I've actually got to go and get something done, and I'm not afraid to call that out.
Yeah, totally.
But, relationships, whether that's the relationships with my kids or the barista, or to be honest, our team, our clients, like it's, I have a real passion for actually really nurturing and helping people to be the best version of themselves at work. And it's something that I've, that kind of mentoring, ability is something that I really crave. That's probably where some of that empathy component comes from. And you would talk about moments. Were there any moments? Probably less moments, more mentors for me. Like I can think of two really amazing, phenomenal women who have been pivotal mentors for me in my working career, both of which are incredibly successful, who have, families, who are running businesses, but who can also empathize with you on a level that, makes you feel valued for what it is that that you're doing. So I think I've probably pulled a lot of that from them, and also probably a lot of their pragmatism and efficiencies as well, and how they operate. So, that's probably a lot of it is testament to them as well.
Over your career, like you've kind of worked with some of the biggest names in loyalty, shaping how some of Australia's biggest brands have like built relationships with customers. And that's such an interesting position to be in, because you've watched that relationship between these brands and these customers kind of change over the last 10 years. Like how has it changed, and how has it stayed the same, that relationship?
Back in the day, it used to be all about traditional above-the-line marketing, whether that's TV, radio, print. Like I even remember when I first started out in direct marketing, it was all about sending a letter in the post in a direct response design. That is not, the world has completely changed now. It's not only really, it's very much more focusing about, and we've seen this big shift, and I think COVID's been a real part of this as well, in that it's no longer about brand awareness and above the line marketing. It's all about retaining and driving more value out of your existing customer base. And the one channel is no longer enough. It's all about, if you're not communicating across 10 plus channels where your customers are, you're not actually doing enough. And then obviously big data and personalization. I mean, that is huge. That has come a really long way in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's even going to completely change again as we're seeing the introduction of AI and all of those kind of different types of technologies, because, data governance and privacy is going to become even more pivotal than it ever has been. But in terms of data and personalization, if we put a loyalty hat on that, if I think about even everyday rewards, at Woolworths, back in the day it was a kind of a small part of a bigger group, right? The bigger Woolworths group.
Totally.
And now, it is the absolute heart in terms of, the commercial asset, the data and the personalization. It all kind of stems from the everyday rewards machine engine. So it's really interesting, especially to see that in big corporate, how that has completely shifted in a really short period of time. And I think that the thing is, data allows you to then create more personalized experiences and optimize that customer experience for the customer at hand. So, it's a win-win for business and it's a win for customer.
You've kind of painted a picture of how things have changed. How do you think things are going to progress? Like, do you have any predictions for the next few years?
Customers used to always expect rational expectations. It was always about price. It was all about a range, but the world is changing and that customers actually are expecting a lot more. They want an emotional connection. They want to be connected on an emotional level. So I think what we're going to continue to see is those who can play in that emotional space are actually going to be the ones leading the charge, because rational is expected. It's now about how you actually make me feel as a customer.
Yeah.
Seeing a real shift in that. And then, different types of applications, whether that's gamification, we're seeing a lot of that coming up as well, to obviously, really innovative ways to help engage and connect on that emotional level as well, especially for our kind of, millennials or Gen Zs of the world. So it'll be interesting. They're the kind of things that I think we're going to continue to see at scale.
Another core strength of yours, Ange, is the collaborative approach you have to work. Like, people like to refer to you as the gun around the office, like you're an absolute gun. And I think, and that's absolutely true, because the ability you have to kind of get stuff done, but you're also like a great champion of others. Why is the work that we do better as a team sport?
Nick, Ollie and I, every time we catch up, we say this literally in our weekly management meeting, how awesome our team is, and that we just feel so lucky that we've got such an awesome culture and a great team. But we've also got a team of guns, and that everyone's, they're all CX experts. Everyone's got their own specialty, whether that's strategy, UX, content row, and we're also not afraid to turn around and go, do you know what? I'm at a standstill here. I can't get past this problem I'm trying to solve. Can I get X, Y, Z in a room and let's smash it out, get our heads together so I can move forward? We rarely sit on something and simmer, and that's not just me. That is the entire team. Everyone has the ability and always is empowered to say, do you know what? I'm struggling here. I need to get some more heads in it to smash it out. So I think collectively that collaborative approach is absolutely core to how we function. And I think it works because we've got a great culture and a great team of specialists. So it's really testament to everyone else in our team.
You, Nick and Ollie do a really great job of kind of making sure that our team both has like this great balance of work and life. What kind of contributed to how you guys have built that kind of culture?
We're really passionate about creating that kind of culture around you're here to work to live, not live to work. It used to always be about FaceTime. If you didn't get in at 8 a.m. in the morning, you were told it was the afternoon shift, I haven't had my morning coffee yet.
Yeah, wow.
Anyway, so or build your own brand. You got to continue to work on your brand. Like we're pretty pragmatic and practical, all of us who are in the Tortoise Hare team, and we respect the flexibility because we know it's give. It's not give take. So I think that's a really important thing for us is and it's a real passion point. We're also all juggling families, but we work hard. We're bloody efficient, and we can have it all.
As we look to the future direction of the agency, what are you, Ollie and Nick, really excited about?
We've been in this for a long time.
Yeah.
We're not just turned around and decided CX is the new buzzword and we're doing it, in the last year. CX has been core to everything that we do and continue to do for really the whole 10 years that we've been in operation. So I feel quite fortunate in that we have been ahead of the curve. And I think with these increasing, all these changes in more channels, the increase in personalization at scale, more technology, like I feel like we are more, we're incredibly well equipped to really create those ideal customer experiences for our clients. And I feel fortunate in that we are well ahead of the game in that.
I just have one final question. If you had a chance to put one single-minded message on a billboard for every CEO, every CMO, every CX leader in the world to see, what would it say and why?
It's hard not to go with the tortoise and hare analogy here, right?
I mean, yeah, I guess we've already done it, right? Like,
I feel like we've worked hard on what this
yeah,
would
we
say.
did. Yeah, we did work hard.
Yeah, so I think I'd probably have to stick with that, building customer relationships. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It's not tactical one-off in individual moments. It's really nurturing them across the customer journey where they are. It's a long-term game.
Thanks so much for taking the time to have a chat.
Thanks, Rory.
And then I think we'll just fade it out, probably.
Are we still recording?
We're still recording, but I will